Look after Mr. Bond. See that some harm comes to him.
Let his death be a particularly unpleasant and humiliating one.
Every person who even comes into contact with that microfilm is to be eliminated.
You know, every man should get a henchman. They're super efficient in getting your chores done, cooking you dinner, doing your laundry, giving you a massage. Every Bond villain, or married man, will tell you that it's super convenient to have one. And in the universe of Bond, the henchmen are mostly used to kill people. A lot of the times these henchmen have a unique trait or appearance or weapon that distinguishes them, and throughout the Bond films we've seen many male and female henchmen do the dirty work of the main villains. So in today's episode I'm discussing my personal top 10, and just to clarify, I don't consider villains like Rosa Clapp, Arumov, Orlov, Whittaker, Renard or General Medrano to be actual henchmen. To me, those have always been more like secondary villains with their own motives. We're talking the proper henchmen that solely work for the main villain's benefit.
Jaws, you obey me!
I'm giving my honorable mention to Teehee, a classic henchman with his distinguishing claw and everlasting big smile. He's part of the many memorable and over-the-top henchmen the series is famous for. He just barely missed out on my list. As for the dishonorable mention, that just has to go to Elvis. Who on earth remembers Elvis? I'm pretty sure I already forgot about him even before I walked out of the cinema when I first saw Quantum of Solace. The guy has a toupee. That's it, that's his big feature, and that whole thing is only in frame for a few seconds. Nothing else stands out about him throughout the entire movie. He is forgotten as easily as he enters. I don't think I was even aware he was called Elvis until months later when I was paying attention to the end credits after watching the movie again and was like, huh? Elvis? There was an Elvis in this movie? Wait, I gotta look him up. Yeah, I think I remember seeing him in this. Why didn't they mention his name? Why did they even call him Elvis to begin with? And what did he even do in this movie?
Where's my wife?
Don't worry. We gave her a nice honeymoon.
Sanchez's right-hand man, Dario, may not be among the most iconic henchmen in the series, but he's certainly among my favorites. There's something strangely enticing about the young Benicio del Toro's performance. Whenever this slimy, slick fuck is on screen, I can't take my eyes off him. He's not one of those super-powered henchmen, heck, he's even knocked out pretty easily by Bond in that bar fight. But he does stand out among the others in Sanchez's crew. It's hard to put your finger on why that is. He's not exactly remembered just for the golden tooth or his knife that he always pulls out as if he's a magician performing a magic trick. But I think it's not for nothing that this movie launched Benicio del Toro's career and that he was recognized for the good actor that he is. He just has a certain look or charm of overconfidence and sliminess that works so well within the context of the film that he's in.
Guess where you got the first one.
Well, in view of your hatred of man.
Liar! You know that making love to Fatima was the greatest pleasure of your life?
Well, to be perfectly honest, there was this girl in Philadelphia.
Shut up!
Fatima Blush easily is the best character in Never Say Never Again, and for me the highlight to the entire film. Sure, you could say she's kind of a clone of Fiona Volpe, with this being a fundable remake and all, but in a way you can kinda say that about all femme fatales in the series. Barbara Carrara did something unique with the part and manages to steal every scene she's in. She's so over the top, throwing snakes into cars to kill people, planting bombs under people's beds and forcing Bond to write down she was the greatest lover he ever had, which results in her outlandish downfall. I think due to her being in the unofficial entry of the series, which is generally viewed as one of the weaker Bond films, she's often overlooked. But I really think she's one of the greats, and though at Eon Productions they may never admit it, but I really believe she had a great influence on later characters appearing in the official series.
Monsieur, good shooting.
I've never killed a midget before, but there can always be a first time.
Oh, monsieur.
I always liked Scaramanga's French midget servant, who's a very unique henchman in the series. We've never had anyone quite like Knick-Knack before or since, yet he's extremely memorable. He's very loyal to Scaramanga, working as his private butler, serving him food and organizing standoffs for those who try to challenge his master. Yet he doesn't seem to mind if his master gets killed, so he gets to own the island.
If you kill him, all this be mine.
Well, at least that's what he says to Bond, but you're never quite sure if he truly means it, because he does always seem to have Scaramanga's back, and when Bond does end up killing his master, he still goes after Bond to kill him, though that might have something to do with the fact that Bond, or mainly Goodnight, is responsible for blowing up the island. Also quite unique is that he is among the few henchmen in the series who actually makes it out alive.
He seems fit enough. Have him report to me in Istanbul in 24 hours.
Red Grant is one of the most beloved and influential henchmen in the series. This incredibly strong professional is not mucking around. We see him effortlessly make countless kills throughout the film, and you know Bond is in serious trouble when he gets on that train posing as an ally. His fight with Bond on the Orient Express is still considered one of the best and most brutal fights in the franchise. Because you genuinely feel the danger and start to wonder whether or not Bond can beat this invincible man. Red Grant is also the trendsetter responsible for spawning so much other stereotypical blonde muscular henchmen. Eric Kriegler in For Your Eyes Only, Necros in The Living Daylights, Stamper in Tomorrow Never Dies, and Hans in You Only Live Twice. But you have to come to the conclusion that the OG muscular blonde simply is the best one of the lot. Oh, I mean, coming after you, of course, Craig.
Do you like wild things, Mr. Bond, James Bond?
Wild? You should be locked up in a cage.
If you trace the first origins of the quintessential sexy, dangerous femme fatale type in the Bond films, then Fiona Volpe is the first one in which they got it right. Sure, there were some other chicks in the films that came prior that were on the side of the villains, but with Fiona Volpe they truly set the archetype of the femme fatale in stone. She's extremely capable, lethal, and incredibly hot. Straight from her introduction, we get to see her use her charms and sleep with Domino's brother, only for him to be killed shortly after, and her getting straight to business. She's not mucking around, and I think she was not just a fantasy to men in the 60s, but to women as well. She's empowering, dangerous, and confident. It's funny to think that Luciano Paluzzi originally auditioned for Domino, but the filmmakers decided to give her a separate role of the bad girl instead, and she later admitted she much preferred the role she was given. And rightly so, because much like is the case with Fatima Blush, this chick just brings fireworks to the screen every time she's on it. She was certainly the most interesting villain in Thunderball. I always debated with myself who I liked better, Fatima Blush or Fiona Volpe. I used to lean more towards Fatima Blush, and I still have to admit that it's very close, but in terms of a ranking and the overall influence these characters had on the franchise as a whole, the upper hand just has to go to Miss Volpe.
This way.
bringing Grace Jones in a Bond film has always been one of the most extraordinary and memorable castings in the series. Pairing her up with Christopher Walken worked so extremely well and made the villain duo the absolute highlight to A View to a Kill. I remember being scared shitless of this woman as a kid. Who am I kidding? I'm still scared shitless of this chick today. But that's exactly why she works so well as a menacing villain in the film. Her extraordinary look and behavior just sends cold shivers up your spine. And I can totally believe she could kick some serious ass and completely smash the shit out of you. Even literally. I also maintain that her exit in the film still holds up as one of the greatest moments in A View to a Kill, turning against Zorin, blowing herself up as a big middle finger, completely foiling his plans. Mayday forever holds up as one of the most extraordinary scary femme fatales the series has ever had.
I might have guessed.
Do you know him?
Not socially. His name's Jaws. He kills people.
Jaws, the only henchman to this day to appear in 2 Bond films. He's easily one of the most memorable and iconic ones. In The Spy Who Loved Me, we were first introduced to this absolute giant with his metal teeth. In his first outing, Jaws was like something straight out of your childhood nightmares. Biting his way through locks, slowly walking towards his victim crapping their pants and awaiting to be bitten to death. And appearing in tiny closets that ensured many underwears around the globe needed to be changed. And of course his first appearance included some light-hearted tongue-in-cheek humor too, but for the most part he became an instant fan favorite that ensured his comeback in Moonraker. Unfortunately in that film he was mainly used for the gags, breaking his parachute cord, falling down into a circus tent, crashing his cable car into the building, and maybe the worst offender, falling in love with a nerdy girl. It's such a shame because Jaws really has the potential to be the best henchman in the series. If they ever bring back Mr. Hinks from the latest Bond movie, I can only pray he doesn't meet a Mrs. Hinks. And I can see why the filmmakers wanted the likable Jaws to turn to the side of good by the end of Moonraker. I just don't think his character needed a girlfriend to go with that. Still, despite all this, in the end of the day, I still regard Jaws as one of the all-time classic characters in the 007 universe.
Welcome. State your credentials for succeeding Senior Scarra.
I'm gonna say it straight up, Mr. Hinks is the most badass henchman of the last 20 years. Inspector, they finally brought in someone menacing, invincible and memorable. When I first saw that introduction of him pushing the guy's eyes in with those metal fingernails, you know this dude was no bullshit. He's a fantastic modern embodiment of the classic mute superpowered henchman. And when he came in to attack Bond in the train, you seriously start to doubt whether or not Bond could beat this invincible heavyweight wrestler. I also love the fact that Mr. Hinks is always well dressed. He isn't afraid to get his hands dirty, but he does clean them after he's done. You could debate whether or not Mr. Hinks could have survived his final showdown with Bond. We've had more indestructible henchmen in the past surviving the most outrageous situations, because I for one would love to see Dave Bautista reprise his role in Bond 25.
Many people have tried to involve themselves in my affairs, unsuccessfully.
We've arrived at the classic of all classics now. If Red Grant was the archetype of the strong muscular blonde henchman and Fiona Volpe of the femme fatales, then Oddjob is the archetype of the mute superpowered henchman, like Jaws, Mr. Hinks and Gobinda. Who doesn't know Goldfinger's loyal Korean powerhouse that throws a head capable of killing people? Oddjob is probably the most recognizable henchman in the franchise. Even people who've never seen Goldfinger are likely to at least know about this guy. He's spoofed and homaged all the time. And then of course there's the countless video game appearances. Who doesn't remember playing some 007 Nightfire multiplayer and killing your bros with Oddjob's head? Yeah, I got a sniper now. Oh, you're going down. You're going down. I'm Oddjob. So, as if that makes a difference. There we go. Okay, let me see. Where are you? Yes! Aha! Oh, bullshit! No, that's cheating, bro. That's fucking cheating. Shut up!
Ksenia Sergeyevna Onatop.
Onatop?
Onatop.
To me, Xenia Onatop is the most fun, engaging and exciting henchwoman we've ever seen. I called Fiona Volpe the archetype of the femme fatales, but it's Famke Janssen who completely perfected this. This chick is just absolutely nuts, being completely turned on when killing, whether that is with a machine gun or during sex using her lethal thighs. She is an absolute joy to watch, and good heavens is she nice to look at. She's crazy, sexy and dangerous. She's larger than life, yet with Famke Janssen's acting, I completely buy that this woman simply is this crazy and could easily exist in real life. You wouldn't want to mess with her, yet if you had to pick a way to go, you pick her any day of the week. And I promise you, her being Dutch has nothing to do with her being my number one in this ranking. But her being such a good femme fatale may just have something to do with that Dutch blood.
No. No more foreplay.
And there we go, my top 10 favorite henchmen in the Bond universe. How did you like my ranking and how would you rank them yourself? Please share your thoughts and comments below. And also be sure to subscribe and click that little bell icon so that you're always made aware of my latest content coming up to the channel. Are you a fan of my work and you just can't wait for other episodes or content to come up to the channel? Well, you can now join the DBF community on my Patreon page. Supporting my channel grants you access to all my latest videos 2 weeks before the regular viewers get to see it. Your name will also be included on the Supporter Hall of Fame, and you get to vote for the new content. And as a bonus for signing up, you will receive a personal thank you video from me, as well as these custom Blu-ray covers that I designed myself. These will all be received by email immediately, so you can pop them out of your printer and put them in empty Blu-ray covers to have your own DBF Blu-ray collection on your shelf. All support for giving back to my channel is appreciated immensely. You can find the link in the description and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot, guys.